coding by itself is actually very, very boring. I'm not sure like people actually enjoy writing if-else like conditions, but I think that's like the job of an engineer is not to write code, right? The job of an engineer is to solve problem. And like I feel like being able to solve a technical problem and like solving like a problem that humans can understand is a very, very different thing. So hi everyone, my name is Chip. So I'm here to talk about AI engineering. I think so. So that's our curiosity. So who here considers yourself an AI engineer? Okay, a few people. Who here wants to be an AI engineer? Okay, a few. So who here hates the term AI engineer? Yay, yes. I know it's a very weird term. So we only have like 15 minutes, so don't worry, we're gonna be done with this very soon. So I'm gonna talk about quickly like AI engineering and machine learning engineering. So previously, I just want to curious, like, were you interested in AI before ChatGPT? Or it's just like, yes, okay, so you're familiar with like machine learning engineering in the past when you have to build things like fraud detection or recommender systems. So yeah, in the past, if you want to use machine learning for the applications, then you first need to start with like a lot of data. And then you have to build a model. And then you deploy this model as part of your product. For example, if you have a recommender system, you might deploy it as part of like Spotify or Amazon. But nowadays, with AI engineering, the process is very different. A lot of times, people just start with like a fun demo. Like somebody has an idea, like, oh, I want to use AI for these cool things. You spend a few hours and I write it up. So you start with like a demo, like a product. And then if it goes really well, then you might want to like gather more data to maybe like get more examples in the prompt. You might want to fine tune. And then after that, if it's really, really well, then you go into like develop the model more. So the process right now is very different. You start from like the product, and then you go into like get more data, and then you get into like modeling later. So the interesting things about it is that like because everyone has the same model nowadays, everyone using the same like Anthropic or like Gemini or like ChatGPT, like GPT model. So the model is like commoditized. So the competitive advantage now lie into product and data. So people keep telling me nowadays, like if I ask anyone who has built a cool AI applications, I ask them like, what is the hardest challenge in building these applications? And 100% of the time people told me it's like user experience, collecting feedback. So the human aspect, like all the technical challenges are pretty straightforward to solve, but we know how to scale a system. We know how to like put cache, we know how to put things together, but understanding the human aspect of it is really hard. Basically, in machine learning engineering, you build your own model, but nowadays, very few people actually build their own models, and these people are getting like 7 or 8 figures. I saw the tweet the other day, somebody was saying this like, oh wow, I thought a 7-figure salary was high salary. But apparently, if you can build model nowadays, people are offering like, what is it? Mark Zuckerberg is offering like crazy, 10, $40 million a year, whatever. The second is that like previously, so machine learning model could be deployed as part of the product, but now it can be a standalone applications. And next is that before you need a lot of like deep machine learning expertise, but nowadays, I think a lot of people start out like not even knowing how to explain like gradient descent. And I'm not saying that machine learning theory is not needed. I'm not saying that it's possible to start without knowing a lot of stuff that you previously needed, but now you can just like learn as you go. So a lot of time it's not like machine learning engineering or engineering. In the vast majority of systems that I see nowadays, machine learning, traditional machine learning is used together with like generative AI. So here's a very common example. We're going to use some chatbot, but before we go into this very complex diagram, who here has built a chatbot? Wow, yes, but almost everyone. So like it's a bread and butter use case for enterprise and a customer support chatbot, and everyone wants to have like, I don't know, like digital girlfriend or digital boyfriend. It's kind of crazy use cases. So let's go through like an example of a customer support chatbot, right? So let's see that in the beginning, you might have some queries that are very simple, like, hey, I forgot my password. So in that case, you don't really need an AI to respond to that request. You might just want like to show users maybe the link to like frequently asked questions. Or if the query is something very complicated, like, oh, like why did you charge me twice for like billing last month, right? Then you might want to route it to like human operator to answer this question because it's sensitive, like financial, and people can like get very, very upset about it. But like if some other question, it might want to route it to like a model. So you might want to first have a router to determine like how best to respond to this request from users. So it could be like an FAQ, it could send to human operator, or like send to like a given model. So this router is a very classical classifier, so that you can just like build in-house. A lot of company build that in-house. Or like let's say you have sent a request to the model, and the model send back a response. You might want to check like, is this response like safe? Does it contain a PAI? Because maybe you connect to chatbot with like the internal database, and it might query some like not just data about these users, but like some other users. Or like it might say something very unsafe about the competitor, right? Like if you work for Amazon, and it's like starts saying something very mean about Amazon, you don't want to send that back to users. So you might want to have like a PAI detector or a scorer at the end to show, to determine whether the response is safe to send back to users. So I do think it's like engineering is gonna be like like it's gonna be the umbrella term, like subsuming like engineering, ML engineering. And I do see that eventually everything has become part of the full stack. So I do think that AI has become a common tool that anyone can use, the same ways that databases and like JavaScript has been. So I think my next section is about like some of the anti-patterns. Like let's do some exercise that I've seen like a lot in like productions, and let's walk through like why it is so hard to build applications, right? So one example is an actual page. So I occasionally invest in company, and I got a lot of like interesting ideas from like founders coming with amazing ideas, but not all of them are so amazing. So let's see, like here's a team that came to me, and they told me that they want to use Gen AI to have users optimize for electricity bill, right? So the idea is that the users can give the app like how they use electricity, and the app's gonna return back like how you should change a habit to reduce a bill. And they told me that, oh, early testing showed that like users can save like on average like 30% the electricity bill, right? So like free money, why wouldn't anyone want to use it? So I heard that a lot of you here are from crypto, so you probably have a lot of money. So would you invest in this idea? So who would invest? Good. Okay, so what's wrong with this? Like, why wouldn't you invest in this? Yes, AI can cost a lot of money. I think like so I actually asked them this, like, what if I just do it like a very stupid way, right? Like what if I just get the most expensive activity? Like, I know that car charging is expensive. What if I just put in the cheapest hour, like charge it at like midnight? How much would it reduce my bill? And the team was like, we actually didn't test that. So they told me that they would test that and get back to me later. And then they never got back to me after that, but they pivoted into something else. So I do think that like for this optimizations, a very simple algorithms could be like just trying to like do brute force, like like just get the most expensive one activities and choose the lowest like cheapest hour to run those. So like a lot of solutions you don't really need generative AI, and I see this kind of use case like over and over again. Okay, so another one is a lot of time a team would try our AI, and they say, okay, we have very low return on investment. And a lot of time it's not because of AI itself, but because of like the bad product sense. Like building a good product is really hard. Like using AI is easy, but building a product on top of that is hard. So let's give another example, right? So this is from a very popular app. So what the app does is that it gets a transcription of a meeting, and then it summarizes the meeting to users, right? So I talked to the PM of this product, and in the beginning, she told me that like they agonize over how long the summary should be. So like people like, okay, maybe people want a really short summary, maybe like 3 sentences. Or like some people said, no, users want really longer summaries, maybe like 5 or 7 sentences. So who do you think is right? Who here thinks that users could prefer shorter summaries? No one? You're like, huh? Shorter is better? Who here thinks that user could prefer longer messages? Summaries? A few people? Okay, more people. So what I actually find out is that users actually don't care about the summaries. What they actually care about is like action items. Like what do we have to pay attention to? Because if you look at a lot of meeting summaries, they sound very similar. Like, okay, this person proposes, the other person like object, or everyone just nodded. Like a lot of summaries is just not relevant to a lot of like attendees. People just want to know, okay, what do we have to do next after this? And is there anything that like I need to pay attention to? So a lot of time you have to validate with users. Like a lot of time intuition is just not correct. So here's another example that is very popular. So it's a case study from LinkedIn, and you can probably find it online. So LinkedIn builds a chatbot to help candidates assess whether a job description is a good fit for them. So they could like see a JD and say, hey, am I a good fit for the job, right? And initially, LinkedIn assumed that users want correct answers. So what do you think the reality would be? They say yes, they want like encouragement, they want validations. Yes, no, that's great human insight into human psychology right there. So actually, LinkedIn find that like being correct is not enough, because let's say that like a candidate asks like, hey, am I a good fit for the job? And the boss is like, you're a terrible fit, and just end right there. So it's not really good. So what users want is not assessment. What users want is a job. So like instead of saying like, hey, you're a terrible fit for the job, you might want to say like, okay, you're not a best fit for it right now, but here are other jobs that might be a good fit for you. Or you can say like, okay, here is a path toward like, here are the skills missing, and here what you can do to be a good fit for this job. So like it's more like a recommender system rather than like an yes or no classifier. So here's another more, here's like a more challenging example actually. So a very popular like tax filing software, you probably know what I'm talking about. So they have like, they build a chatbot to like help users answer questions about tax. And they were very surprised to find out that like nobody uses it. So when they tested, they was like, okay, this is like really great, like surprising, very low hallucination rate, like it's pretty good, like internal results are great. But then they deploy to users, and it's just bad. Like no one, it's not that bad that no one uses it. What do you think might have been the reason? Yeah? Yeah, wow, like you're good. Are you like, where do you work? Happyverse, good. Okay, so they found out that like, when they do internal tests, because the people work for them actually understand the tax system pretty well, so they know what question to ask. But when they deploy to productions, a lot of their users are using an app, a tax app, because they don't understand tax system at all. So like facing like a blank box, they just don't know what to ask. And then so found another reason is that like users just really hate typing. So like people actually just prefer like click through. So what they did was that like they start like having pre-populated like questions, so that user can just click on them. And actually that increased their usage like a lot more. So I'm just like going through this example just to say that building a product on top of AI is not that easy. I think that using AI is very easy, and also like building a demo like for ourselves to use is easy, but as long as you send it to other people, it's become a lot more challenging because everyone uses AI differently. And also like previously it took us a long time to like understand user behavior, right? Like imagine in the early day of like mobile phone or like the internet, we didn't quite understand how users would use a phone or how users would use like the internet. Like we don't know like, oh, people use internet mostly to watch video reels. I feel like that idea would be like completely novel back in like 2010. But nowadays like it's pretty common. So the same with AI. I just think it's like we just need to spend a lot of time understand what users want and how to build for that. And I do think that like it's both a blessing and a curse, because like if human problems, like if the user's problems are easy to solve, then we actually don't need humans anymore. Because I do think that technical challenges are getting easier and easier to solve, and we can like, be automated using a lot of AI, like coding, right? Writing code nowadays is actually pretty straightforward. I was just talking to my friend just before coming here, so it's like I'm obsessed with like Claude code. I'm using it so much, like it just makes like coding so much more fun. I think it's like coding by itself is actually very, very boring. I'm not sure like people actually enjoy writing if-else like conditions, but I think that's like the job of an engineer is not to write code, right? The job of an engineer is to solve problem. And like I feel like being able to solve a technical problem and like solving like a problem that humans can understand is a very, very different thing. So exactly want to write line of code versus like coming up with like a like user-friendly and like productive applications is very different. So yeah, so I'm actually very excited because now I feel like with AI, before like I have a long list of like applications I want to build, and it took me forever to get through them. But nowadays I feel like I can just like go through them like one each day, and it's super fun. So yeah, I need to run, but like thank you so much everyone, and catch me. I'm gonna be around here if you have any, you want to chat about like AI or like coding. Thank you.